What's going on, man?
How you doing, Mike?
Welcome
It's
to
amazing.
the MTIP Collective for another episode here where we share some fun facts about life and real estate, and we're going to dig some nuggets out of you on this Friday afternoon. I'm really happy you're here. You came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
Showed up.
yeah.
Why'd you tell everybody your name, where you're from, your backstory, what you do?
Sure. My name is Syffer Ano. Originally from Colombia, South America, but I grew up in this country, in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I've been in Miami for about 22 years, 25 years actually, and been into construction, import or export, in either in Spain, bringing materials such as travertine materials, marble, granites. And then I got into more of the construction side, and I jumped into real estate from there. And I've been investing for about 15 years,
Oh, wow. 15 years of real estate?
buying, selling, mostly buying, selling, and wholesaling. That's what I've been doing, getting nice properties. Because you get to a level that you can do all the properties. You can do all properties. So you have to have a team of people that you work with. And that's why it's so important to build networks and to have communities. So I think communities is what makes us survive in this existence. You have to have that's why we congregate. That's why we do all the things, because we need people. People are the most important things that we have. And people look for God in the synagogue. But to me, you're God right now. Because,
You're going for a bit.
yeah, I mean, with all the respect, their presence is inside of each one of us.
Absolutely.
So that respect to that is the first thing. And when you connect with like-minded individuals and you have communities, you grow. So I've started communities and I've done a lot of real estate investing. And with having said that, it's when you have the ability to grow and to do everything. So got into other ventures and all, but real estate is what I love. Real estate.
That's good. We love real estate. So, yeah, we're still, we have something in common. And how'd you find out about our space? How'd you end up here?
A friend texted me an event that he had here about a week ago or a couple of days ago.
That's right.
And I came and I felt like I wasn't home. Like, really, I just met you actually, and I feel so comfortable speaking to you, being here. This wasn't like really expected, but this is flowing and everything is authenticity. And I love authenticity. And wow, I can have a great space. Everybody here is amazing. And I think you bring that vibe. You bring that magnetism from you, Mike.
I appreciate you, Zad. And so tell people, right, with the whole point of doing these little sessions is to give people value, right? Is to teach people from your mistakes, to teach them from your successes. And from someone like you that has done a few different industries, that did real estate, but has been doing real estate, what's the most amount of capital you managed to get to in your financial life to this point? And what's the lowest you've ever been at, and why? And how'd you do that? How'd you get to that price point of, I made this much money? And tell us the journey of how you potentially might have gone up or down. That's, I think, really valuable for a lot of people to hear.
That's a loaded question. I think that the most important thing in business and to be able to be in your best, in the best in the industry, it's the people that you surround yourself with. People make a big difference. I done deals. Let's say I went to a network event. I was a speaker for a network event, and I tied a property at 5 p.m. for $300,000. And in that event, I sold it for $350,000. So I made $50,000 in less than 3 hours.
That's amazing.
We came out, we signed the contract, they liked the property, we did the contract there. And because you have edification, I was edified, I was the speaker, I would not give them a bad deal. And they still made money. The property was worth like $625. It was a Weston. That was a couple of years ago.
What kind of property was it?
2 single family, 2-car garage with a pool.
Great.
In an association, yeah. So money is a perception, right? And I think that when you're able to see the value in people and in the service, the money is like a law. You'll come. But we have little faith and not only that, the way we speak to ourselves that way. We get up, and the first thing is the fear of, I didn't do this yesterday. Or I had to do this, oh my God, the anxiety. we wake up and we don't even say thank you.
Sure.
So the relationship starts with you. The relationship starts with you, because if you have a good relationship with yourself, then you can create relationships. And other things have to happen to you to be able to understand this. And you have to go through a lot, because I think human beings, we take things for granted. We don't really have appreciation of things that
What's something you took for granted that that you had and now you don't have? That was meaningful to you in your life.
I think that my perception of, for example, certain relationships that I had that I did not cherish enough, that the value is not the same. It's when you get married that you break the cup. After you break the cup, you can put it back up. And we can fix it.
Yep.
Things that I said that I shouldn't have said. Fears that I threw to somebody else. Not listening to them. Things that I've done, especially with people that I took for granted, that I could talk to them anyway or any. You cannot break that. We need three things in this existence. We need respect. We need respect. We need to respect each other.
Sure.
We need to have empathy for people, because that's very important. And we need to accompany people. We need to have relationships. We need to be company for somebody else. People need to have a company, somebody that cares for them.
A companion.
A companionship.
There you go.
I'm working on this thing called the magic of the three bodies, because I developed this system from many years of studying in internal things, different teachers and masters I've been with. And I think we are a trilogy. Like, we need health, it's the first thing we need. We need finances, and we need relationships.
Sure.
Those are the needs, because we confuse sometimes the needs with the wants. So if we know our basic stuff and we have that defined, we can move to other scenarios.
So from what I'm hearing you say is that whatever you achieved in your life, the thing that you took for granted most were relationships. And some of those relationships were irreparable. You couldn't get them back because of the things you said and how you conducted yourself. And so now the learning lesson from that is to maybe listen twice as hard and speak at half the rate, because God gave you 2 ears and one mouth for that purpose.
Exactly.
But when it comes to real estate specifically, talk about some real big achievements you managed to do. What was the biggest deal you ever did? What was the most exciting thing you ever did, specifically financially? Because I want people to see what they could aspire to do. And I don't really care where that was or what you did, but that story, walk us through what got you from that starting point to that closed deal.
36 units in Oklahoma. That was a really good deal that we did. 1.6.
Nice.
So we had owner financing and everything. We ended up paying $700,000 out of the deal. And in a year and a half, we sold it for 2.8.
So you bought it for 1.7, 36-unit multifamily complex in Oklahoma.
And then we did with the permits and entitlements and things, because we had a piece of land in the other side, and we could build another 18 units.
That's amazing.
So we built the value. So in real estate, it's very simple. You have to build value. Whatever value you bring to the table, then you can. It's like I remember when I did my first deal was a short sale, 2007, 2000.
What's a short sale?
A short sale is when somebody defaults in their mortgage, they get a lease pendant, then they have a certain amount of time to respond or to settle these lease pendants, and now it goes into foreclosure proceedings.
Interesting. Okay.
But before all that happens, the owner could be contacted by an investor or someone that wants to buy their property at a discount. Then they negotiate the price of the property, because in 2007, 2008, properties that were 300 came down to 215, then 190.
Sure, there was a collapse.
All the way down to 90,000 or whatever. It depends on the market. So I used to do a lot of those short sales.
And how'd you get access to these short sales?
They were everywhere. At that time, they were everywhere.
So it was just openly available to buy short sales because the economy was bad in that market. Yeah. So you just picked them up. And how did you have the capital to buy these properties?
Funny enough, I went to this industry because I had 6 properties and I was being mentored by someone that was helping me at that time. I had the marble company and everything just collapsed in 2008. So I had to learn short sales my way. I went to the University of Phoenix in Arizona when I took these classes, and I became a short sale expert. So I did that with my properties, and I started doing it with other realtors, and things just start happening. That's how I got really started.
But it's really important here. So what you did was you were in a financial bind like everyone else in the economy. Your marble business wasn't doing well. And so you're about to lose your 6 assets. So before
I got to do for 143,000 in the Bentley Bay and the Bentley Beach. At that time, we were doing like other projects, and everything just stopped. So
going from there, you were in a bad position and you said, how do I get out of this? And so what you ended up doing was you went and educated yourself, and you did that out of college, out of all places, which is interesting, in Phoenix. And then from there, you
it was
went,
a real estate university. At that time was called Reach.
okay,
New Flourish system. And so taught there
how much capital did you spend to go to that school?
22,000.
You spent 22,000. And how long did it take you to get through that course?
So I went for the first time, I think it was March of 2007. March 2007. And I started like networking, talking to people. I learned how to do this. And in December 8th of 2007, I made $92,000 property
from short selling another property.
From another property.
But your marble business, it took the hit at 2008.
Yeah. Everything got
so coincidentally, where you were doing this in tandem. You were trying to juggle a marble business and the losses that were happening. And meanwhile, you were pushing yourself to get into real estate and in short sales. And you invested 22 grand to learn how to do it. And then
that I think back about it, because I haven't spoken about that for a while. Now that I think about that, that was a very tough time. Very tough time. But I think from tough times, that's why everything that happens to us, if it's tough, we have to welcome it, because
pain is good.
Because we should to use that as a message from the Creator saying, look, there's something better in the other side, and we have to be strong and have courage. Because it took a lot of courage getting into an airplane, going over there, doing all, this is going to work, but I have to do it because I need to learn. That I got into real estate with some friends that were realtors, and I told real short sales people that not many people knew about short sales. So I started teaching people how the short sale process worked with the packages and all that.
After you just did your first deal and you made 90 grand, that was your motivation?
And then, no, this guy comes and says, Syffer, this lady's losing her property. You want to go? And I went over there, and I knew about the contract because I was learning real estate at the same time. So we got the property. We got it for $90,000. We did the short sale for $90,000, and we sold it for $215,000. That included his commission.
That's
amazing. We netted $92,000, $93,000. December 8th, 2007.
That was your first big, but I would say pick up for short sales for this business.
Yeah.
From there, you got rid of the marble business, from what I understand.
And
you just went in full into real estate short sales.
I went into full real estate, mostly short sales at the time, and I must have done like 30 or 50 of them between 2008 and 2012.
And you did that by yourself or through these realtors? That was your base.
Started working with different realtors. I was working with Remax partners. I went to Keller Williams. I was working with United Realtor.
So these realtors were your lead source. You got your deals through these realtors.
They were like partners. I partner up with them.
Where did you get the money from?
My first deal was hard money lenders.
Hard money lenders.
Yeah.
So you bought a short sale with a partner, which was a realtor, that brought you the deal. You guys made around 90 grand after everything's said and done. And the money that funded that short sale was from a hard money lender?
Yeah.
Got it. What'd you pay the hard money lender?
At that time, it was 15%.
You gave 15% on the upside, on the profit?
Yeah. No, or do it on
just interest.
Interest on the money.
Okay. And what collateral did you have to offer? The property?
The property at that time. And he knew me. So he was fine with lending us the money.
So the trick,
that was my very first deal.
So for someone that has never done a short sale, and the economy might be going towards the toilet right now, and these opportunities might be coming out, for low ticket, low hanging fruit real estate, houses, single family, you could pick these up, find a deal, vicariously through a realtor in that market. Tie up that deal with that owner in a short sale format, and then flip it and use a hard money lender's money to be able to transact to make the margin. And all of that is beautiful because you didn't use any of your own capital.
Correct.
That's amazing, dude. Good job. And you do that 30 to 50 more times, and then eventually you made more money and more capital. Did you open up an office? Did you expand beyond that, or did you pivot to something different?
Yeah, actually, I had an office and we were doing mostly wholesale deals. We're tying up on our property and just passing them through. I did four apartments in Stero Beach. So I was able to like do some construction and building stuff. It was like a bunch of stuff.
Would you recommend people do just short sale, wholesale and assignments, or fix and flips? Out of the three, if you had to recommend one being the best, what would it be?
The way that I think you can earn the fastest income will be through wholesales, because you can pass that contract to somebody. If you bring value to the table of an investor and they see the numbers, they'll buy the property from me.
So wholesaling is the fastest, but is it the most profitable?
No.
So what is the most profitable?
When you fix it and you flip it, that you make the most amount of money.
I'm very curious to know.
When you create the value.
When you say that the fix and flip is the most profitable, let's use a use case scenario between you and I. If I find a deal for $1 million, okay, and I can wholesale it and make $100,000, versus if I have to buy it, which means now I have to raise equity, get money, get debt, hire contractors, okay, go through that process, which could take how long for that fix and flip?
6 months.
6 months. So there's soft cost, hard cost to that. And then it's speculative if I could then flip it for, let's say, I don't know, we're going to dump $300,000 in construction, 20%, 30% of the value, and we're going to sell for how much more? What would be the margin to sell that you wouldn't?
That have to be like a $2 million property.
So you'd have to take $1 million property to flip it for $2 million. Meanwhile, you probably in it for $500,000, because from 1 to 1.5 would be the soft cost, the construction, the fees. So you'd make $500,000, and you're saying you could do that in 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my challenge. If you made $500,000 in 6 months,
you could do the same wholesale
every
month.
You average $80,000 a month, which then tells me exactly what you just said. But the difference, and this is why I challenge people when they say that, what's the most profitable? In the wholesale aspect, if I put $1, just $1 of investment to find that contract, and I flipped it, I made $100,000, it's infinite return.
It is.
And no risk. Versus if I bought $1 million project to flip it for $2 million, and it took me 6 months, I now sacrifice my time. I sacrifice my capital. I sacrifice everything for the sake of doubling potentially my money.
Totally. But what we're debating here will be the time frame, because let's say if it doesn't take 6 months, it takes 3 months, or if you're doing 3 at the same time.
Yeah, but you're still capped. So how many wholesale deals can you do a month? Theoretically, you could do far more wholesale deals. It's scalable as a model.
Yeah.
Versus how many fix and flips can you do a month?
Exactly.
You now need capital for every fix and flip. You need debt for every fix and flip. You need construction crews for every fix and flip.
Time,
And you basically...
So I retract, it's wholesales.
There you go. And that's why I want to have this honest conversation, because I think a lot of people have a misconception. Yeah, what's profitable?
Yeah.
What's the fastest? And what makes you money?
Exactly.
In my whole life, in my 20-year experience, I haven't seen a better model than assigning contracts in real estate. Brokeraging is great. That's also low risk, high reward. Assigning and wholesaling is great. The second you step into the door of trying to do a fix and flip or a ground up new development or anything associated with the construction, you have now buried yourself and married yourself to that asset for a set duration of time. So unless you're really passionate about building, don't do it. If you think that the title of being owner of an asset is the win, don't do it. If you want to have what I call qual, a quality of life that matters, you have to realize how do I make the most amount of capital with the least amount of brain damage in the shortest span of time? And in real estate, this is what I teach. This is what I understood. It's either brokeraging or wholesaling of real estate. Now, if you get to $5 million in profit over the span of your career, that is when you enter ownership. Why? Because at $5 million, even if you buy a 5 cap return property or properties, you're making 20, 25 grand a month in residual, or I don't like calling the word passive because I don't think anything's passive, but you can make residual income from rents. And so if you're living on 25, that's a $300,000 income a year, you're set. You could finally call yourself a landlord. Yeah. But that's my philosophy. I think a lot of people might contest my philosophy. I think people like stacking, buying the burn method, buy, rehab it. Yeah. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's what gets me going.
It's everybody has a different personality. So I can add to that, there's not everybody can wholesale property. Because you're right, this is a way of seeing real estate in a different perspective. And I've spoken to realtors, to other people that are in the industry, and the wholesale concept, they don't have clients, they don't see themselves doing this because it's a non-traditional thing. And we most like traditional stuff. And you're right, but almost people that have the quality of building, doing something, this would be like the easiest thing to do. Get a property, fix it up, and sell it, then starting to do wholesales. So you have to have a different personality, I think, for wholesales. So everybody has a different way of seeing it.
But dude,
but wholesales are
everybody. Think about it. There's 5 hats in real estate. There's the guy that finds the deals. There's the guy that raises equity. There's the guy that deals with debt. And there's the guy that does the construction. And then there's management and leasing. Mm-hmm. Those are the 5 hats. Everybody thinks that by owning real estate, you're buried to all 5 of these hats, which really what you should be doing is pick one hat.
Exactly.
And be great at that one hat. And if you look at all of these hats, the one that makes the most amount of ROI is the first one. Mm. The guy procuring the deal, the guy finding the deal. Yeah. Without the deal, absolutely, the developer can't manage, can't construction, nothing. There's no contractor. He doesn't have a job. The mortgage, the lending doesn't have a deal to underwrite. And the raising of equity is all these people looking for money. They got nowhere to put their money. So finding the deal is the most important role in the whole thing.
So we go back to community, right?
Yeah.
There's guys like us that we can go and speak to people and get these deals. We pass it to another guy. So I totally understand. And you're right. I thank you for this space because it makes me learn something and grow. Sure. That's how we grow. And I'm excited about continuing to wholesale, brother.
Yeah, that's what the whole point of the collective was. We opened the space to attract amazing people like you, Syffer, so that you, first and foremost, you have, I say it almost now with every one of these, you need to have a temple, a church, a mosque, you need a synagogue. This is your synagogue. Yeah. This is where you come in and you do your ritual. The ritual is you do real estate deals, and you do it in an environment where everybody here speaks your same language. Habla real estato, edificios. That's all we want to do, transactional real estate. That's the whole point. Thank you very much, Syffer.
Thank you.
I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up. If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice that would help change the position you are in right now, what would it be and why?
It would be to be more emotionally intelligent.
To be more emotionally intelligent? Is that what he said?
Uh-huh. Most of us, we are very caught up in our results by our emotions. And most of the emotions are really working against us because instead of feeling love, most of the time we feel pain. Instead of being certain, we are fearful. Instead of being happy, we are depressed. So to see the emotions that are being more control of your emotions and being more assertive into the moment and seeing things from whoever I'm going to do business with and the numbers. Those are the 2 most important things in business. Who you go to work with, and you need to know who you're working with. That's why when I approach someone, I try to tell them or let them know who I am so they know what to expect, so they know where I'm in the table at, where I was sitting.
So, okay, emotional intelligence in order to understand who you deal with better,
Yes.
and then set expectations
Yes.
so that there's clarity
Exactly.
and no conflicts.
Totally.
Dude, that was amazing. Syffer, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you here. If you guys want to come and get to know Syffer, how do people find you?
They'll find me here.
Are you on social media?
Yeah.
What's your handle?
Syffer.Quiseno, or you can go to consultingquantum.com. That's my website.
Amazing.
And Instagram is Syffer.Quiseno as well.
Amazing. But you're here at the collective now, right?
But I'm here.
Good. So you guys keep finding your guys. Until next time, Syffer, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Matt.
Thanks again, brother.